All right, boys and girls, welcome back to this week's lesson. Hopefully, you thoroughly enjoyed our golf yoga session. Hopefully, our core and all these big muscles in our torso, this area right here, feel a little loose because we are about to get into today's lesson, which is entitled Three Hole Golf. All right, so a couple things we need to know before we can get started are some review. All right, so last lesson, I asked you to make a sock ball. Again, we're going to need to do the same thing. So, quick review from last class is what I want to do is I want to curl up one sock, ball it up into my hand, stuff it inside, go all the way down to the bottom of that sock. And again, there's no right or wrong answer. There's no exact way to necessarily do this just as long as it kind of looks like that. That's going to be the first step. Then we're going to take this outside sock, we're going to fold it over, and we're going to try to make our sock ball resemble a baseball, lacrosse ball, tennis ball, and so forth. That way we can throw it through the air. We don't have any tails or anything trailing behind our ball to kind of take away some of the speed and force that we need to throw the ball successfully through our sock ball golf course. All right, so some things we need to know. Took care of our warm-up. Our activity today will be a three-hole golf course. Our objective, what are we trying to accomplish today? Great question, class. I will be able to successfully build my own three-hole sock golf course. That's what we're doing today. All right, Coach Brian, again, in a second, we're going to magically transport ourselves to Coach Brian's backyard, and you'll see the three-hole golf course I set up for us, or softball golf course. All right, but some things we need to know moving forward. Some of those review terms, those vocabulary terms that we talked about last class. Stroke. What is a stroke? A stroke is the amount of attempts it takes you to successfully throw the sock ball into the hole. So if Coach Brian throws the ball and it lands short of the hole, I have to walk up to it, stop my feet, pick it up, and try and throw it again. Again, our objective is to try and get the ball in the least amount of shots or the highest amount of shots. If you think it's the least amount of shots, raise your hand. If you think it's the highest amount of shots, raise your hand. If you said getting the ball in the hole in the least amount of shots, then you are correct, because that's our objective. All right? Every time we throw the ball, that would be considered one stroke. Or if you think about it like this, if you're playing basketball, that would be 1 point. All right. However, in golf, we know we want the lowest score. So if I get the ball in 2 shots on a par 3, that would be actually called an eagle, which is better than getting a score of 3, because again, we want the lowest score. No, it might sound confusing. However, when we see it out on hopefully our sock ball golf course, it'll become a little easier. All right. Par. What is par? That's the amount of strokes you are allowed to get the ball in the hole. However, Coach, what happens if we go over par, meaning it's a par 3 and it takes me 4 strokes to get the ball in the hole? Then essentially my score would be a 4, and that's actually called a bogey. If I got 5 on a par 3, that would be a double bogey, and so on. All right? So that's what par means, the amount of strokes or shots it takes to get the ball in the hole. Tee box. We know tee box simply means our starting point. When we go out to Coach Brian's backyard, you're going to see some cones on the ground. That indicates where we start and throw our sock ball from. All right. We talked about a hole. That's our target. That's what we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to get our sock ball in that hole in the least amount of shots. So some new terms we want to look at this class or this lesson is sand trap. What's sand trap? Well, if you've ever seen a golf course, some of them, a lot of the prestigious golf courses, a lot of the nicer ones have these things called sand traps. And they're almost like a half pipe or a gully filled with sand. They make the game a lot harder, a lot more difficult. The object is to try and avoid the sand traps. For the sake of our game and Coach Brian's course, I put hula hoops out around my backyard. And every time the ball lands in a hula hoop, we're going to imagine that's a sand bunker. All right. And again, hitting the ball out of the sand is a lot more difficult than if we were to play golf and hit it out of the grass. So if I throw the ball in the hula hoop, my penalty, and to make it a lot more difficult, is I don't just get to pick the ball up and throw it. I actually can't use my hands, and I have to use my feet to kick the ball out of the bunker. I also put a couple beach tails out there, and they're going to act as bunkers as well. So if I throw the ball and it lands on the bunker, again, I can't use my hands, but rather I have to kick it out with my feet. So that's our sand trap. That's our bunker. Talked about a birdie. What's a birdie? That is one less than par. So if par is 3, 2 would be a birdie. If par is 4, 1 minus 4 would be 3 would be considered a birdie. And if it's a par 5 and I get the ball in the hole in 4 strokes, that would be considered a birdie on a par 5. Bogey, we talked about bogey. We don't want to get bogeys. That's the word is bogey, not boogie. Bogey, which is 1 over par. So if it's a par 3 and we get a 4, that would be a bogey. So we want to avoid bogeys at all costs. All right, we talked about par 3s versus par 4s and par 5s. That's the amount of strokes it takes to get the ball in the hole. And the last term is called a dog leg. What's a dog leg? That's kind of a weird term for our golf lesson, right? Or our softball golf lesson. A dog leg is a hole that actually goes straight and either goes to the right or the left. So it looks like an L, whether it's upside down or backwards. So if the ball or the hole goes to the right, and this is our tee box, our starting point right here, and the hole is all the way over here, that would be considered a dog leg. I can't successfully get the ball from the tee box to the hole. All right, so I need to throw the ball short and either go to the right or sometimes the dog legs to the left. And it makes the hole or the golf course a lot more difficult. The beauty of golf is that no hole is exactly alike. The beauty of golf is traveling to different golf courses and testing your skills and trying to play to your best abilities. All right. So in a second, we're going to build our own 3-hole golf course. That's going to be our lesson for today. All right. So again, we have our vocabulary. Next time I see you, we'll be in our backyard checking out the course that Coach Brian put together. All right, boys and girls, welcome back. As I promised you and told you, we magically transported ourselves into Coach Brian's backyard where I successfully built my own 3-hole golf course. So our first hole is actually going to be a par 3. Our second hole is going to be a par 4. And our third hole is actually going to be a par 5. And it's going to be a dog leg. Remember when we saw you last in the office and we drew it up on the whiteboard and we talked about the difference between a straight hole and a dog leg, which either veers to the right or the left? Our third and final hole today is actually going to be a dog leg. So again, our first hole is all the way in the back of my backyard. Notice I put down some bunkers or some traps. Again, remember when I throw my sock ball and it lands in one of those bunkers or those traps, I unfortunately cannot use my hands and I have to kick it out. All right. And if you kick it out, guess what? Unfortunately, that counts as a stroke. So our first hole is going to be a par 3. My goal, my objective is to get my sock ball in that purple bucket in 3 or less shots. Remember our terms we used earlier: bogey, birdie, and so forth. All right. After I play this hole out, I'll come in and check in and see how you're making out. Here we go. First hole. Yeah, I'm going to start in my tee box. I need a driver. This hole's a little shorter, so I don't need to necessarily throw the ball as far as I can, but we're going to see where this one lands. All right, so I step into it. Oh, all right, I avoided that one bunker, that one sand trap. So a little bit closer, that would be considered 1 stroke. Here we go. Oh, unfortunately, I'm in the sand trap, and I used my second stroke. All right, so my score on this hole thus far is a 2. All right, so again, I'm in this hula hoop. I can't use my hands. I have to kick it out. All right, so that would be my 3rd stroke. And here, I pick up my sock ball, try to get it into the hole. And that took me 4 strokes. All right, so 4 strokes on that hole, as we know it's a par 3, would be considered a bogey. All right, let's play hole number 2 now, which I told you earlier is a par 4. All right, so notice our second hole is covered by bunkers and sand traps. This one's going to be a lot more difficult. And if you look, our tee box is all the way in this corner of the backyard, and our hole is all the way down the far end, which is why this hole is considered a par 4. All right, let's see how we play this hole. Here we go. First shot. Looking for distance. I need to use my driver here. See how close I can get the ball to the hole. All right. Oh, that's a pretty good shot. And I was able to avoid our sand traps. So if you see where my sock ball landed pretty close to the hole. And now I'm on my second shot. All right, so I only need not to use my driver or wedge here or iron. Need a nice soft shot. Oh, I fell short. I'm going to pick up our hole. I put it in, and my score would be a 3 on that hole. So we said that was a par 4, right? And I got the ball in the hole in only 3 shots. So what was my score? If we're using our golf terms or our softball terms, we said my score was a 3. It's 1 less than par, so that would be called a, if you said birdie, you are correct. All right, here we go to our third and final hole of today. You see our tee box is here. However, we have some sand traps out there. And as we walk around here, notice our hole is in the driveway. And it's around the other side of our house, making this hole a lot more difficult. This is called a dog leg. And this is a par 5. So let's see how we play this hole. So we start, as always, at our tee box. And again, I can't throw the ball directly to the hole because there's a lot of action. We have some cars. We have the house in the way. So we're going to throw the ball out. Whew. Avoided the first sand trap. Now again, I can't really go directly at the hole because there's some cars, there's some other stuff. So I have to do what they consider or call layup. I throw the ball, and hopefully I didn't hit that sand trap, that pesky Dora the Explorer sand trap. All right, so that was shot number 2. So as we cruise around, we see, all right, so I was able to avoid the sand trap, and that was my second shot. All right, so we said this is a par 5. I'm going to take my second shot. Ready? Oh, I missed it. That would be a 3. Uh-oh, I need to make it in this shot. All right, here we go. Oh, I missed it again. Oh, my goodness. That would be my 4th shot. And whew, I made it in 5 shots, making par, not bogeying, and unfortunately not birdieing, but I was able to make it in the hole in 5 successful shots. All right, boys and girls, hopefully you didn't get dizzy as I took you on a tour of my backyard as I created my 3-hole golf course. All right, your lesson or your objective for today's lesson will be to build your own 3-hole golf course. Again, invite some of your friends from the neighborhood. Maybe you have classmates from Aston Elementary live in your neighborhood. You guys want to do this lesson together? That is totally cool, awesome, and up to you guys. If anyone at home wants to play, brothers and sisters, please invite them to do the same. I would love to see your work and how hard you guys worked on your PE lesson this week. So please do me a favor. Please send me any pics or videos of you have playing your softball golf course to my Schoology account. Again, I would love to see how hard you guys worked on this, as this is a lot of fun, and it's a lot more fun when you play with some of your friends. So please invite the neighborhood over to play your softball golf course, and I would love to see how hard you guys worked on this unit. All right, this is Coach Brian officially signing off. Till next week.